Welcome, everybody, to episode 154 of The China Show. We have a jam-packed episode for you today. We're going to be covering all sorts of things. This whole TikTok ban, the bill. We're going to cover the Taiwanese president coming to America and all the interesting things surrounding that. And, of course, everything else in between.
Yeah, I want everyone to know that there may or may not be a little debate on this, but I want everyone to know that we spent... like the past 24 hours literally going through every single aspect of this bill.
Yeah.
We are not unfamiliar with the bill, let's just say that.
Yes.
So we thought it was really important to at least talk about it and try to not just, quell some of the confusion, but absolutely point out where a lot of disinfo/misinfo coming from China is stemming from.
Yes, so we'll get into all of that shortly, but let's just saunter right into it with what's new. This is where we talk about what's new, specifically with regards to China. And what is new this week? Well, let's take a look.
Well, I have something very funny to talk about.
All right.
You know how China's been talking about their AI, how their AI is going to conquer the world, and they're at leaps and bounds ahead of everyone's AI?
You mean this?
Yes, younger and beautiful.
Yes, that was an example of Huawei's
That's
Sarah
AI. Yes, they're cutting edge.
They're cutting edge AI, which is a woman in a booth just speaking into a microphone, pretending to be AI in Thailand.
Yep.
Anyway, they have released Ernie. I don't know why it's called Ernie.
Got to give it a name.
Yeah, gotta give it a name. Anyway, Ernie is Baidu's AI, chatbot AI.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a rival to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Right?
Baidu, by the way, is the Google knockoff in China. They do the search engines, you know?
Yes. So they released it, and people in China just started losing their minds laughing.
Yeah.
They were just dying laughing because I'll see if you pick up on something here. Okay. People started typing things in to try to make artwork, right?
Yeah.
So this one would be like a rival to DALL-E 2 AI, right?
Sure.
So this one says, draw a busy road. But in Chinese it says, 给我画一个车水马龙的街道, right? So
Yes.
like a busy road. Directly translated would be a water, horse, dragon road.
Yeah.
Which is that just means like a busy road, right, in Chinese. And what did it do?
Well, it actually just made a watery road with a dragon on it.
Sure, I put a real pictorial demonstration of what it really meant.
What it should be.
On the side.
Yeah.
So it drew like a watery dragon.
Being a bit too literal here.
Right. Let's look at another example here.
Okay, sure.
They asked, "Can a father and mother get married?" And what did it reply?
Said no, because father and mother are relatives, and marriage between relatives is prohibited, known as consanguineous marriage. This practice is not only legally prohibited, but also morally and ethically unacceptable.
To get very literally.
Yeah.
Showing its deep prowess, a fantastically strong and powerful AI. Let's continue.
Yeah, so father and mother can't get married, apparently.
No, I couldn't read between the lines there.
No.
Next,
So,
we
I
have a
mean, if
great
you're
example.
like, just Commonwealth parents, and you have a kid,
Yes.
you can't get married.
Yes.
Okay, all
It
right.
says 帮我画一个鸳鸯火锅, which means like
Yeah.
like a
yin
hot
yang
pot.
is yin and yang.
Yeah,
So
well, it means
yin-
Mandarin duck.
Yeah, which
technically.
and it's yin yang hot pot, and you see them like one side spicy and one side is not spicy.
Anyway, yuan
Yeah.
yang is a Mandarin duck.
Yeah, so that's what they did.
So it literally drew a Mandarin duck sitting in a hot pot with some vegetables.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, which is just kind of one of these things where it's just really taking everything very literally.
What do we have next?
Oh,
we have
Songzi.
songshu guiyu, right?
Yeah.
帮我画一个songshu guiyu. So that songshu guiyu is a delicious
Yeah.
dish in
Oh,
China.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
Very cool. Take
Yeah.
us out of there so people can
Yeah.
see it. Looks
Okay, sure
crazy.
thing.
People put some epic like green things.
Yeah, I
in
know,
the
I've never
eyes.
seen the green things before.
Yeah, right. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's the dish.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a carp, and then they cut it in half and kind of fillet it so that all the meat kind of pokes
And they
out.
put those pine nuts in.
Pine nuts in it, and then it's got like sweet and sour
Yeah,
sauce.
it's a
and
very nice
crispy.
sauce. Yeah,
Tastes
that's a great dish actually,
Love
and I
it.
don't even like fish.
So anyway, it's actually called like a squirrel fish, right?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dish. It's just the style it's made
Sure.
in, right? But here, the AI actually made a squirrel riding on a fish.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, like
Yeah.
chilling on a plate. Now, when you look at I think there might be one more. I can't remember.
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It says 画一个鹿肉火烧, which 鹿肉火烧, another amazing dish in China.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a donkey burger.
It's like, I wouldn't say a burger.
Well,
it's more
yeah,
like a taco.
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah. You know, like we call them donkey burgers.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a burger, it's definitely not a burger.
The real ones from Henan are not in a burger shape though. Those are the Beijing ones.
Yeah.
The real ones from Henan are in like a taco, almost a taco
like
shape. I used to
right.
get them all the time. Anyway, it's donkey meat in like it could be in a burger type pita.
Yeah.
Or it can be in like a long pita.
Yeah.
And it's usually with like bell peppers, or it's just plain. You can put like vinegar and stuff.
Yeah, they taste good.
Fantastic dish.
Yeah, they taste good.
But in direct translation, I guess it would mean a donkey on fire.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
So they actually have a donkey on fire. Now, here's the deal. There's a punchline to all of this, okay? You can leave one of these up just for us to look.
Okay, I'll leave the donkey up.
And I didn't want to run this by you first because I wanted I think you can figure this out, okay? Why is this getting so much ridicule? It's not, and I'll give you a hint, it's not just because these are just literal dumb AI translations. It's because something's very wrong. And what do you think that is? If you had to just think about it for a little while.
Well, I mean...
What's wrong with the AI?
The AI is just shitting out literal stuff, but it's actually very good quality. I've got to say, like, the actual artwork's good
I mean, all of them are.
Yeah.
All of the AI is. But do you know why? Do you know why the artwork's good quality and why it's being literal?
I don't know. It's probably someone doing it.
Well, you're close.
Okay.
The Baidu AI, and the reason it's getting so much literal ridicule of it being too literal, is not because it's like broken or something.
Right.
It's because it was supposed to be made from the ground up in China by Chinese people for the Chinese language.
Yeah.
And it's not doing that. The
Oh,
reason
yeah,
it's
from that
coming
point
up
of
with
view.
a literal translation when people look at the code,
Yeah.
it's translating everything into Chinese from English back and forth.
Makes
It's
sense.
stolen code from other AIs. China's best and biggest AI is taking Chinese characters, translating
it
them
into English.
in an English AI system,
Yeah.
translating them back so all of the nuance is lost. If
Well,
it
that
was
makes
made,
sense.
if it was made for the Chinese language and Chinese characters, it would have understood every single one of these very
I was
common
going to
things.
say that, like the
Yeah.
fact that it's very literal is strange because it's not picking up on very basic colloquialisms. I
Yes.
mean,
these are very
that's
simple.
a dish. It's just
Yeah.
a dish. You know what I mean?
You can Google that. Google will know them.
It's kind of like if you say what cobbler pie.
Yeah,
and then
peach
someone,
cobbler, right?
Yeah, peach cobbler. But then somebody draws a peach like fixing a shoe.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you would know what peach cobbler is
Yes.
if you're an English speaker, and
Yes.
so yeah,
It would
makes
know.
sense.
It would pull from the internet what those things are.
I mean, it makes 100% sense because, you know, unfortunately, China sets goals and they talk a big game
Yes.
when they want to create something. We're going to be the best at AI. But then when it comes down to it, brass tacks, and they're like, hey, show us then.
Yeah.
They don't actually have it. They can't develop it, so they have to steal it.
Yep. And
Every time.
they made this whole thing about, we can't show you Ernie AI yet. It's not ready. Like we've been working so hard. Finally, China's going to the Chinese government right now thinks that the rest of the world is going to use this instead of anything else. And at the very least,
Well, they
for
are using it because it's foreign
exactly.
stuff, right?
At the very least, Chinese people will choose to use this over something else, right?
Yeah,
Because they're having a big problem with people accessing like these open AI things using VPNs and things.
Yeah, using ChatGPT and stuff.
And they don't want them to do
No,
that.
it's bad. They
They'll
don't
tell
like
them the
it
truth
at all, yeah.
about Tiananmen Square, about Uyghurs, about genocide, all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and they can criticize the government.
Yeah. So this is just a massive, massive foible and huge problem.
Yeah.
But China doesn't have a actual AI.
No, they don't. They don't.
No.
Not yet. Not their own. I mean, they've got, you know, the equivalent of like a Amazon Alexa.
It's just a copy.
Yeah,
You can't even do your own language.
I know it's bad.
It's crap, dude.
Well,
It's embarrassing.
we'll keep looking at it, and this is just a reminder to all of our audience here. When you see these articles coming out left and right about China's leading the AI race and China's, you know, AI this and that and the next thing. Listen, they can talk all they want, but the actual proof and what we end up seeing, and we make a lot of fun of it here on the show, but what we end up seeing is this.
Younger and beautiful.
You know,
If you have to put an actual woman in a booth and pretend and make her motion cap with a webcam,
Yeah.
If you have to do that at your biggest showing,
that was last year.
that was last year, where they're hiring and flying people out to come talk to this thing,
Yeah.
and then they realize through corruption, bribery, and all of this crap in the company in Huawei.
Yeah.
That China's best company can't even make that, so they have to throw a booth babe into a booth and pretend like she only speaks English and Thai right now.
Even though she's developed by China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then have YouTubers go up and talk to her like it's actual AI and try to tell the world this is actually AI. That's where we're at with China. And why are we investing in this shit?
Exactly. And look, we don't need to go into it in depth because we've actually got whole episodes just about that AI. So you can go look it up if you're interested. Let's move on to our next topic, which is kind of a hilarious. Thought we'd show you some Chinese humor.
Yeah, this is going around on Douyin, Chinese TikTok.
Okay, so I'll take us out of there and let's just play it. Maybe you can explain.
Well, this bro is.
Oh, sorry. Let me start that. We didn't have our beautiful music for that, so
you had it turned down.
Yeah, I had it turned.
This uncle, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
This uncle absolutely loves chubbier women, so he is slapping away all of those like unnatural, filtered skinny women, and he's saving the chubby women for himself.
Yeah,
plus size.
It's a little bit of rural humor for you here.
Rural humor. We like to throw a little rural humor in every now and then.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Got some more later, actually.
Yeah, we do.
Wanted to shout out this dude. Okay, I'll pause it on him real quick. This is Ge Lei Lao Shi. He used to be a celeb in China, right? And he actually talked to him. I talked to him over DM, and what happened with him is he wasn't a shill, but he was popular for Chinese language content on Chinese internet, right? Massive, huge.
Yeah.
And he would write funny songs and do, help people with English Chinese stuff. Anyway.
Did he eat spicy food by any chance?
I don't think so. Okay. I didn't see any. It's mostly music stuff.
All right.
Anyway, that's a whole nother tangent, which we can
we'll
get
talk
into
about later, yeah.
Anyway, he all of a sudden decided, you know what, I'm going to use my talents to actually talk about the evils of the CCP. And he just literally switched over to the light side. Yeah. Not that he was ever on the dark side, but is using his forces for good now. He's a great songwriter, and he's been putting together these jingles. I want everyone to go follow him. He's on that is not just on other social media; it's on YouTube as well. He's got a channel, so let's try to push him over. Subs.
Yeah, sure.
Let's listen to one of his new clips.
Yeah, if you do go over to his YouTube channel, just say the China show sent me. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Absolutely.
And TikTok now. Let's ban TikTok now. The CCP is the world's greatest threat. And they want to own our internet, to spy on us and control our minds. They've banned ours, let's respond in kind and ban TikTok now. Yeah, let's ban TikTok now. Now, I love China and the people there, but when you deal with the CCP, beware. They're obsessed with power and control, and twisting minds is their only goal. So let's ban TikTok now. Yeah, let's ban TikTok now.
Shout out to Ge Lei Lao Shi.
Yeah, I gotta say again, acoustic guitars, man. I got a thing against them, but he's actually really good at singing Chinese. I'm surprised he didn't show a Chinese clip of him because that's what makes him special. Because anyone could do it. He just did there. What? I'm just saying.
Can play guitar?
Oh, just like sing a thing like a jingle in English.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because that's
relevant to our topic.
Yeah, his selling point is the fact that he's really good at singing Chinese and speaking Chinese. So
I have other clips. I thought this was very apt for this topic. We're literally talking about TikTok.
I know, but I mean, why would people go over to see him? I'm telling you why I should go over to see him is because his Chinese is really good.
Sure.
That's why it's so important, is because when he sings his songs in Chinese. Yeah. The Chinese audience in China get to hear the criticisms of the CCP, which they usually wouldn't. And that's why people like him are so important.
Yeah, but he also does subtitles, and our audience is English speaking. So
I'm just saying.
Yes, it's a good accolade.
You want to differentiate him from, like the dude on the corner asking for free change with a acoustic guitar. That's the difference.
I get you.
Anyway, so go check him out. He's awesome.
Yes.
And yeah, we should ban TikTok. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Yes. First, what's this all about?
You remember last time when I got really mad at Snopes?
Yes.
So what they said was that TikTok is not banned in China.
They said it was false, right?
And it was, to rewind here, there's this weird psyop coming from China that wants you to think that TikTok is not banned in China. So here's the deal. China has Douyin, which is Chinese TikTok, but
Sure.
it's got a different algorithm. It's got a different content. It's got everything's different.
Even the TikTok CEO says it's a completely different company.
Right. ByteDance CEO. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different company.
Not the ByteDance, the TikTok CEO.
TikTok CEO. Sorry.
It's like, it's a different company. It's a
right?
Chinese operation. It's got nothing to do with TikTok. Even he says that.
Right. So it makes sense that China would ban TikTok because you can find a lot of content on there that they wouldn't want their citizens to see.
They don't allow it, yeah.
They don't allow it. Not only that, it's come out now that the TikTok algorithm for America looks very crafted to be negative, to have negative influence, right? So anyway, there's this psyop going around from China about like, no, we don't ban TikTok. We just have our own version. You can access TikTok, right? So I'm like, on this fact-checking website, Snopes, a very recognizable. It's a recognizable name in the fact-checking business, right? So I'm like, this is bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So I go to the next slide. It says false. So we talked about that, and we're like, what are you talking about? Of course, it is banned. You cannot go into China and download TikTok. It's blocked, right? Some people are going out there saying like, oh, if you go over there with a foreign American or European SIM card,
That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. I'm talking about Chinese people in China.
Yeah,
right?
if you
On
go over there
Wi-Fi,
with a roaming plan on certain carriers, not all carriers, but if you have a roaming plan, you go into China with your phone, you can still access Facebook.
That has
and
nothing to do with
everything, but it's got
reality,
nothing to
right?
do. Like if you use Chinese internet,
Yes.
not your foreign carrier, use Chinese internet. You log onto Liantong or the Chinese telecom or whatever. Use a local SIM card. Use a local Wi-Fi. Anything like
Anything.
You cannot.
If you go on the
access it.
Chinese internet, you cannot access TikTok,
Yeah,
right?
it's banned and blocked.
So this is wrong.
Yeah,
right?
it's
It
wrong.
says TikTok has never been available in China because the country has its own domestic version of the app Douyin. That's not true. That's true, but you can't. It's blocked.
Yeah,
that's the whole
it's
point.
not
blocked.
true. It's false.
Yeah.
Because like their own version of the app is not TikTok.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying you can say yes, you have this, so this isn't true anymore. That doesn't make sense.
They don't even have anything to do with
They have
each other.
nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after our video, they changed it to unproven.
Yeah, because some of you guys, thank you very much, actually reached out and sent them our video and sent them emails. Thank you. You know who you are. We appreciate it very much.
Yeah, it says update.
So they changed it from false to unproven.
Read the update.
Okay, the update says TikTok has never been available in China, as the country has its own version of the app called Douyin. Both apps are owned by the same Chinese company, ByteDance. Thus far, we've been unable to find definitive proof that TikTok is or is not officially banned in China. And other updates, it says, we have revised the rating of this fact check from false to unproven due to the lack of definitive evidence that TikTok has or has not been banned in China. By the way, this is because of you guys, our audience, and that's because,
Thank you.
Honestly, it's because of you, and thank you. And it shows that we can actually fight back against the Chinese government's propaganda efforts around the world, and this being one of them, because think about it. Why would they want to push this idea that TikTok isn't banned?
Yeah.
It's because they're trying to right now push this idea that America is such a draconian, terrible place that wants to ban an app that they don't even ban. Meanwhile, they ban everything.
It's
everything.
malicious propaganda. It's disinformation.
Absolutely misinformation. Disinformation is everything to do with information that's not correct.
Yes. Now, I would like to take this one step further because there's three options here, right?
Okay.
The first one would be false. The second one, the interim, right, which we've gotten Snopes to change to, would be unproven. And then the actual truth would be true. Because guess what? It is true. It's not unproven. You want some factual evidence here? Well, just go to a China firewall test. There's many of them. What it does is it goes to the Chinese internet.
Yep.
You can type in any website.
Yes.
And it will tell you if it's blocked. Let's see. What does it say, Winston?
It says China firewall test if any site is blocked by the Great Firewall of China in real time. TikTok.com is blocked in Beijing, Shenzhen, Inner Mongolia, Heilongjiang province, Yunnan province, etc., etc. It's blocked. You can't access it. You can't go to TikTok.com in China. It's blocked.
I wanted to give props to Snopes for updating this unproven, right?
Change it to true.
Just ask people in China, and then second best, we didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to reach out. I didn't have to do shit because all I had to do was go to a firewall test to see if something is blocked in China. They're everywhere. And the reason that these sites exist are for businesses to see if they're blocked or if their website has been blocked in China so they can either continue or don't do commerce in China.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yeah, and
TikTok is blocked in China.
It's also to prepare if you're going to China and you need to make sure if you can access your website that you want to access, you can check through these websites. Like you say, they're kind of common.
Yes.
And it's absolutely blocked.
So Snopes, let's do one better. It is true. TikTok is blocked in China.
There's your definitive proof, you know. If you were willing to slap a false label,
Yeah.
you know, without any proof at all,
Right.
how about this? Anyway.
Yeah, where did the proof of the block thing come in? Like that's not that wasn't proven.
No, they were just like, oh, they have their own version.
That's not answering the question.
Yeah, exactly. It's nonsense. Anyway.
That's like saying you don't have milk in your fridge, even though you do, because you have a faucet that you got water out of.
Yeah.
It's separate entities.
Yeah, or
That
like,
doesn't make
oh,
sense.
you know, oh, is there gluten-free milk in your fridge? And
Yeah.
you're like, yes,
Yes.
but actually there isn't. It's
Right.
just like full milk or whatever.
Yeah,
You know.
you don't go look.
No, you don't look. You just,
That's
oh,
what it is.
there's milk, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
really know what it is.
Yeah, that's the unproven version.
It's like, it turns out it's like some crap oat milk or something.
yeah. Oat milk's
Anyway,
good.
No, it's not.
I
Anyway.
like oat milk.
Guys, before we continue, we have to give you a shout out to our sponsor for today.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yo, Winston, do you remember when we used to, before work, we'd
Yep.
sit around and be like, man, I really could use a pick-me-up, and we'd go to the gas station and we would drink unholy amounts of that horrible, horrible energy drink crap.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. That's something I was shocked when I first came to America by, was the fact that there are just so many energy drinks and weird choices and flavors. But you know what? Every time you drink them, you feel kind of gross. And honestly, I know it's not good for me.
That's why we're super happy to work with HVMN, the sponsor of our show today. Basically, HVMN Ketone IQ, it's a clean energy boost without sugar or caffeine. Only one shot will help you feel clear, focused, and ready to take on the day. When you're low on fuel, Ketone IQ is your secret weapon. So why would you need something like Ketone IQ? Well, first of all, 88% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. 75% of Americans are overweight or obese. I can attest to that.
Sure.
Sure. This will definitely help you in your weight loss journey, that's for sure. At least to help you get healthier and give you the fuel you need to exercise. And 34% of Americans are pre-diabetic and 9.4% are diabetic. What better way to not use sugar or caffeine for energy than to use Ketone IQ? It's a much healthier and cleaner source of energy. What are ketones, by the way? Ketones are a natural source of fuel for the body. They're often created when your stored carbs are depleted, triggering your body to convert fat into ketones for fuel. And unlike fats, ketones can cross the blood-brain barrier, allowing ketones to fuel both the brain and the body. So compared to other sources of energy like glucose or fat, ketones are a much more efficient way of getting your
Yeah,
energy.
absolutely. It's definitely a lot healthier than chugging down huge amounts of sugar and caffeine anyway.
For sure. We'd love if you guys could go to hvmn.com/The China Show. If you go there and you use the code The China Show, you're going to get 20% off. But you're going to directly, we were working directly with this company, so you're going to be directly helping our channel as well. If you're supporting this, we can put our name behind it. It definitely works. It's fantastic and it's safe and it's healthy. But also, just to let you know, that there's also some exciting news coming. You can find these in local Sprouts stores if you have Sprouts near where you are, starting April 1st. And also you can find it currently in Equinox gyms, certain Equinox gyms at Earth Bar. So that'll be available for you elsewhere as well. But the best way to help us, obviously, would be to go to hvmn.com/The China Show and then use the code The China Show for that 20% off.
Don't they use this stuff in the Tour de France and
They
things
do.
like that?
They do.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, like real professionals are using it.
Yeah.
And so should you. Yeah. Okay, cool. So thank you very much for our sponsor.
Yes, awesome
Fantastic.
stuff. By the way, I just wanted to throw in something in there. It might be confusing. It's called Ketone IQ. You don't have to be on keto or do a keto diet. It has nothing to do with it. We're not keto. We don't do any of that stuff. It's just it uses ketones. I just want to make sure everyone knows. Oh, I'm not on a ketone diet.
Sure.
You know, it's not like that.
It's good stuff. Check them
continue.
out.
Great stuff.
Yep. So it's time for us to hit the main segment of the show, which is Soft Power Hour. This is where we talk about how China is trying to change your mind through various different means. And of course, the biggest thing going on at the moment right now is there's a huge amount of discourse over this bill. This TikTok now. This restrict bill.
Strict Act. It is a bill. You're absolutely right. Why don't you explain, give everyone a rundown what this in general is? Because if we don't talk about what it is, then it's not going to make any sense.
Well, okay, what I would like to do is, before we even get into this, is I understand there's a lot of, I've been seeing a lot of influencers go out there trying to say that this bill's terrible and it's a horrible
I have
idea.
some examples
Yeah,
of
you
that,
have some examples. Well, since you're American, you explain what a bill
Okay,
is.
you pass the buck over to me.
Well, it's
a
your
bill
laws.
Is okay, it's mine.
Yeah,
you live
for me-
here too.
Yeah,
Turns
it's
out
true.
if you're not American, you don't have to follow the laws.
No, it's not about that. It's understanding them as well. Like, I have to think about the House of Commons and honorable speakers and chief whips and stuff.
Chief whips.
You don't know about that stuff, right? You don't know.
I
that
do
nonsense.
because we've been covering.
Yeah, now
Anyway,
you know. But yeah,
long
it's
story
different.
short,
So what's a bill?
Enough BS.
What's a
a
bill?
bill? Is basically a proposal, right? So you bring something for. Think about it like a white paper. Like
Yeah.
you have an idea for something,
Well,
right?
it is white.
It is a white paper. In a bill, it basically is not a law until it becomes signed into law, right? So things can be changed, things can be amended, things can be adjusted, right? And I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding going on right now about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discourse out there, meaning I think it kind of makes people think that if something is written into a bill, then all of a sudden it becomes like verbatim law overnight. It doesn't go through any sort of appeals process. It doesn't go through any sort of revision or amendment, right? And that's just not true, right? So the bill we're talking about today is a proposal. It's an idea to to appoint somebody, right? And a committee of people to look at what an adversarial country is. So there's some examples of adversarial countries in this bill. An adversarial country would be a country that probably wants to do some sort of digital economic harm to the USA. The examples in this bill are North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela, China, Russia, and Iran. Okay?
Right.
These countries are kind of, I'm going to say, put on a blacklist for countries that have shown the incentive or willingness to want to do harm to the U.S., right?
Sure.
And I think we can probably agree on most of those.
Oh, yeah, all of them.
But we're specifically today going to hone in on China. Yeah. That's what we talk about. It's literally called the China Show.
Yeah.
Right. Now, in this bill, to make it very, very simple, if China, let's just pick China because I don't want to go into the other countries right now. Yeah. If China creates something that causes harm or accesses the data of Americans when they say they're not supposed to, then they will be held to scrutiny. Yeah. Specifically, if any of the things or products or apps or technology, equipment, router, anything like this can access over 1 million Americans' data, right? Yes. That's what this is about, right? So if you think about it, what app is really hot right now that we're talking about?
It's TikTok.
It's TikTok, right? So over 100 million users on TikTok. China has access to over 100 million Americans' data. And that's where the debate came in. Why are we allowing a country that has told its citizens time and time again that we are at war with America, America's bad, we want America to go away, we will be the ruler of the world, you know, America is evil and sick and twisted and all this stuff. With all of this information going on, why would a country whose government has full control or at least access to every company in China be allowed to access American user data? It's crazy to think about. Also, why would a country with a government with a malicious intent be allowed to have input or say in an algorithm that could potentially deliver or restrict information going to Americans? Right? Think about censorship. Now, the personal anecdote I can throw out here right before we get into the nitty-gritty of this is I had a TikTok account. I'm obviously a big YouTuber, right? And what I was doing was clipping some of my most important points out of my videos. None of them had sexual content. None of them had violence. None of them had anything. Not even bad language, right? My account was banned. I would say half of my videos were removed for content violations. And it was just absolute BS reasons, right?
Yeah, of course.
It was absolutely 100% because I was being critical of the Chinese government.
Oh, yeah, we know that. Lots of people have had this happen.
It's time and time and time
again. It was even brought up in that whole hearing, you know, about like somebody posted about the Uyghurs and had their account suspended or deleted.
I posted about the Uyghurs as well.
Yeah.
Had everything like lickety-split removed, right? Except for some very innocuous things. And then basically, you know, I started to think about it. I started to think this is a wildly popular app that if my content is being controlled, if my content is being removed and you know, removed from the eyes of the American public in America on an American app, right, that has nothing to do with the Chinese government, why am I being censored for that, right?
Yes.
And then you think about the grand scale of that. Not only could you turn off or like get eyes to look away from anti-CCP content, what about anything else? What about election-related materials?
Oh, yeah.
What about democracy-related stuff? And then you go on the algorithm long enough, you're fed Chinese propaganda constantly.
Oh, yeah.
I went through, if you go on any of my videos, I won't make you watch them now, but if you go on any of my videos, I literally got fed over and over and over again CCP propaganda from Chinese state media.
Yeah, I know. You've made videos about it. And it's true. It's all... That doesn't get censored or stopped.
Nope.
But, okay, let's get back into this whole thing. You said you've put up some of the criticisms of this bill that we've been seeing. Is that next? Is that coming up now? Okay. So, yes, this is the genesis of this. I started to notice on Twitter these people posting the following, and let's take a look. This Lolo, whatever. This guy, for some reason, was boosted by a lot of state media accounts and people connected to Chinese propaganda.
This is what we think of the genesis is.
Yeah. So anyway, it says, the Senate Bill 686, the Restrict Act, wants to put you in jail for 20 years for using a VPN or using a website or app that is operated by foreign adversaries. These are the foreign adversaries, by the way. Okay, so first of all, you look at that and you're like, oh, this must be so bad. I can go to jail for 20 years? Now, before we continue with this, guys, I got to tell you one thing. I am very much against overreach when it comes to government control. That's what we're about here. We do not like the way the CCP behaves. The Chinese Communist Party is what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid the kind of influence the Chinese Communist Party has over the populace. They control everything. People are not allowed to have freedom of speech in China. You're not allowed to say anything critical of the government on any social media or in public.
We'll actually get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, you can't actually write, I don't like the government on a piece of paper and hold it up or stick it on a wall. You will go to jail, you'll get detained, the police will come and arrest you. That's what we're trying to avoid here.
Yes.
So when it comes to overreach, okay, a lot of people have concerns that this bill has overreach. In other words, can be interpreted in certain ways, and the government will be able to use it to do things that are against your rights and all that kind of stuff. And I agree, that kind of thing needs to be scrutinized. There need to be many eyes on that and potentially many amendments to this bill. But one thing the bill does not say is that you as an individual are going to go to jail for 20 years. And this is the thing that's pissing me off. This is false. These claims that and you'll see there are lots of them, especially TikTokers who are trying to save their hide because obviously like, hey, their business or their livelihood is TikTok. So they're going to do everything they can to protect their livelihood.
To give a little devil's advocate, though, I think there are campaigns going out from third-party advertisers out of China or Hong Kong right now that are telling people that they'll earn a certain amount of money if they say a certain script. Because it's very much in line from a lot of stuff we've seen before.
Yeah. But I mean, this idea that you as an individual will go to jail for 20 years for using a VPN to access TikTok or something is bullshit and false. And that's what I'm fighting against here. When we're talking about this bill and when we talk about what's going on here, if you're somebody who's against government control and you think this bill is bad, think that all you want. But one thing you have to realize is that this bullshit about 20 years and a VPN, that is wrong and false. It's not in the bill, and this is definitely some kind of a psyop. This is some kind of a propaganda bullshit move that they're pulling.
Because I'll tell you why. Yeah. This is the linchpin for a lot of people's arguments, right?
Yeah.
And I have so much sympathy for people that are against the bill for thinking that they're going to go to jail in America for 20 years for using a VPN.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to understand something here. Mm-hmm. When it smells fishy, if it's related to China, it usually is. Yeah. So we started digging around, right?
Well, I mean, look at this. This is a very well-known CCP tanky propagandist and saying, like, under the new Restrict Act, Ban TikTok Act, VPN users face 20 years in jail and a $1 million fine if they evade U.S. internet censorship. Compared to this, the Great Firewall of China looks like a picket fence. You see what they're trying to do here is they're trying to say, look, China's great. They don't do anything bad, but America, holy shit.
Can you explain what dual purpose is, by the way?
Yeah, of course.
It's a very key CCP terminology.
Well, the whole dual purpose thing is China will develop a technology or they will implement something that looks like it can be used for something innocuous, but actually what it's being used for is propaganda or something to benefit the government. So,
Right.
like military technologies like weather balloons or the spy balloon that we saw, you see, they can claim it's a weather balloon when it's actually a spy balloon. And then when they get caught out, they can say, oh, it's just a weather balloon.
Dual purpose ideology goes all the way from the top like that,
Yeah.
like dual civilian military usage type stuff, all the way down to even how propaganda works.
Yeah.
So you'll see here, the purpose of this is, for lack of better words, a CCP shill.
He is. He's 100%. This guy, if you went to his Twitter, all you can see is pro-CCP, pro-Russia,
Yeah.
bullshit. He's a tanky. That's what he does.
So if you were to look at something like this,
Yeah.
right, you would say, well, the key feature of this, like stepping outside, not knowing who this person is, the
Yeah.
key feature is to criticize the Restrict Act and to look at it and say, wow, if this Restrict Act in America goes through, if me, a TikTok user, uses a VPN after it's banned to go on TikTok, I'm going to go to jail for 20 years and get fined, right? But this is dual purpose because what it also does is says, yeah, there's a Great Firewall of China which blocks, the majority of the internet, by the way.
70%.
70% of the
Plus.
internet. That makes this look like not a big issue because at least in China, where everything's blocked, I can use a VPN and I'm probably not going to go to jail for 20 years, right? So it makes it look comparatively better, which is wild, right?
Yes.
Which is absolutely wild. By the way, 100% false.
Yeah, you will.
I'd
will
like
go.
to- I'd like to look at some examples.
Yeah,
of this.
we'll take a look. But yeah, you will go to jail in China. You'll get disappeared. Again, U.S. nationals in American soil only, or U.S. nationals abroad too? U.S. nationals abroad using U.S. SIM cards? How about foreigners in U.S. soil? Welcome to the West. And, these guys are going...
This is a
ape
pro
shit.
CCP. This is a state employee, by the way. This
yeah.
person works for Chinese state propaganda.
Yeah, he's always on state media, the communist leprechaun.
Now, I just want to look at this super, super quick. I
Yes.
have no idea how people are buying into this, but this whole thing about you're going to go to jail for using a VPN if this bill gets passed in America, right? And now China comparatively looks better is actually working. And I just want to stamp something out really quick.
Okay.
VPN in China is illegal.
Yes.
I don't know why we're at a point now where people are going around saying, well, yeah, the internet's blocked in China, and that's to protect this societal safety of everyone. But if you really want to, you can use a VPN and you'll be fine.
They love saying that.
Yeah, if you're a foreigner, how many white guys or black guys or Indian guys or whatever are walking around China these days? Not that many.
Not many,
right?
no.
1.4 billion Chinese people are not foreigners. They're
Yeah.
Chinese people. And for Chinese people, it is illegal to use a VPN. In fact, there have been some very, very pushed down in the SEO search rankings. Examples of how the law has changed very recently to be even more strict and more harsh. Let's just look at some headlines. Chinese man to serve 9 months in prison for selling VPN apps. Man in China sentenced to 5 years in jail for running VPN, right? Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, those people ran a VPN or sold VPNs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
Okay, well,
Yeah, that's...
touche,
guess you
touche.
can't- you
That's
can't do
illegal,
that.
right? A man in China was caught by police for using a VPN to browse Wikipedia, not selling.
Yeah, just to
using.
browse Wikipedia.
And while using VPN has been deemed illegal in China, this is a rare case for the government to specifically disclose what the VPN was used for, reading Wikipedia for research.
Yes.
They literally wrote it in the criminal report, which is under these. I covered them up with these headlines.
Yeah.
But it says he was using a VPN to read Wikipedia to learn about stuff, and that's why he was arrested. Right?
Yeah.
A software developer just became the latest victim of China's VPN crackdown. Man punished for using VPN to scale China's Great Firewall and watch porn. Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah,
Continue.
yeah.
Chinese authorities punish citizens for using foreign social media. So not only are you getting punished for using a VPN, but when you access Twitter and these accounts, they have police, I'm not even joking, that will hunt you down while you're in America. They'll hunt you down. They'll call you, find a way to call you and say, have you been using Twitter and foreign websites? And then arrest your parents back in China for doing so if you're publishing anything.
I interviewed a guy
Yeah.
who got into a lot of trouble for making a joke on Twitter.
Yes.
In fact, I interviewed a guy in China, it's on my channel, a guy in China who got arrested for making a joke about Xi Jinping on Twitter. And what they charged him with was using a VPN to
Correct.
go onto Twitter to do this.
Correct.
All right. And he got into a massive amount of trouble. I've been back and forth with him, and he's just managed to claim asylum in the UK. He's finally out.
Good.
Another guy who was living here that I interviewed as well, a student, remember, he made something critical of China on Twitter as well. And his parents got the police come to visit him, and they called him and begged him to stop. And the parents were threatening to do something bad to his parents if he didn't stop.
Yep.
So you got to understand, it's very, very bad. It's far worse than most people realize.
Fortifying the Great Firewall, the criminalization of VPNs. Student flees China after questioning over sharing a VPN login. This guy, Chen Yuzhen, he narrowly escaped by being held in a police detention center, is now studying in South Korea, escaped to South Korea because he let his friend use his VPN login.
Yeah.
This is widespread. It is even more scrutinized now. And if you want to use a VPN in China now, not as an individual, you can't as an individual. If you get caught, especially if you get caught publishing anything against the CCP, you're done. You're absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
Right? But now, as a foreign company or an entity, to get legal access, you have to sign up with the MIIT board in China, and then they have regular access to all of your internet logs, just to make sure that you're only using it to do commerce in China.
Yeah.
It's outlandish. China's internet censorship is insane. And while this might sound like a little bit of whataboutism, I want to make sure that you guys understand the dual purpose of this propaganda as we dive into it.
Sure.
Okay? Perhaps the worst part of China's internet law here is it only takes a brief look at Xinjiang, the Uyghurs in Xinjiang. The Uyghur minority of Xinjiang, the Muslim minority in Western China, if they use a VPN, okay, just in case anyone says people in China are allowed to use VPNs, if they use a VPN, just like this girl here, she got 15 years in prison
15 years.
for using a VPN.
Yeah.
That was her crime. If you go to the Xinjiang police files, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that were thrown in prison for being terrorists just for using a VPN.
Yeah, so I mean, not only is this law awful, but it's also racist. Because,
Yes, mad
if you're
racist.
a Uyghur and you use a VPN, then suddenly it's far more serious and you get very heavy prison terms and worse.
It is a second-degree terrorism. So if you're a Han Chinese person, you'll probably get a fine. You'll probably be under future police scrutiny, by the way.
Yeah.
And you'll be watched. You might go to jail, right? If you're a Uyghur minority, you are guilty of second-degree terrorism.
Yes.
So it is literally a racial
racist
law.
It's a racist-ass
Yes,
law. China's a racist-ass country.
It is.
It is, sorry.
Just want to be clear on this.
Just have to say it.
So China, it is illegal to use a VPN. And now we will talk about this misinformation that we suspect is coming from China.
Yeah,
So let's continue.
absolutely. All right, let's do that. Just
wanted to clear it up.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. These are the kind of things that have been going on and that have been shared by all the... By the way, these videos, the reason why I even saw them is the CCP shills, the propagandists that work for China, Chinese state media and so on, have been posting these and retweeting them, saying like, see, this is, if you try to ban TikTok, this is what's going to happen.
We're not saying she is.
No.
But we're saying they're using this content.
They are retweeting these people's videos.
Yeah.
TikTok gets banned and you're thinking of using a VPN, think again, unless you want prison time. That's right, the bill that would ban TikTok would also stipulate that if you access banned content knowingly using a VPN, you would be subject to $1 million fine or 20 years. Yes, 20 years in prison. What kind of world are we living in?
Yeah, what kind of world are we living in? Shut the hell up. Okay, read the bill. What is wrong with you? Read
can I say something?
the bill. It does not say in the bill that you are going to get $1 million fine and 20 years in prison for accessing TikTok with a VPN.
It does say 20 years in prison, and it does say $1 million fine. We'll tell you what it's for.
Yes, not you.
By the way, can I address something really quick?
Sure.
That's really pissing me off.
Yeah, sure.
There's this thing going around that you just said, but you said it correctly because you actually read it. There's this thing going around where people are saying, "Did you read the bill?"
Yeah.
Read the bill, because it hinges on the idea that most people won't read the bill.
Yes.
So then they'll go, "Well, if they told me to read the bill, I feel kind of ashamed that I didn't, and I'll just take their word for it."
Exactly.
And it's literally going. I've seen CCP shills doing this. Did you even read the bill? Clearly they didn't, because that's not what it says.
And don't take advice from a woman who has a headboard like that, by the way.
Why not? What's wrong with that headboard?
It's disgusting. Let's move on.
okay.
20 years in prison.
I'm talking about the bed headboard.
Yeah,
by the
not
way.
the. Yeah.
What else would I be talking
I don't know.
about?
There's no board on
Prison.
it.
So what kind of world are we living in?
Anyway, I don't know
Yeah.
how that's relevant at all, but thank you
Yeah.
for bringing a little humor into this very
Yeah,
serious
sure,
topic.
sure.
So let's have a look. Okay, it says under the terms of the bill. So by the way, there's this whole thing, this linchpin about
Yeah.
this bill that would supposedly ban TikTok, right?
Yeah.
The kind of widespread criticism is that this will give the U.S. government too much power over the internet, and they will be able to access all your stuff. And then
Yeah.
if you do anything to try to access any foreign websites, then you're going to jail, right? That's the linchpin, the general linchpin.
That's what all these people are. These TikTok bots are saying.
Yeah, I do want to clarify. There is real criticism, which we'll get into, of
Yeah,
the bill.
yeah.
But that's separate to this kind of viral rumor that's going
Sure.
on. So I wanted to address this. It says, under the terms of the bill, someone must be engaged in sabotage or subversion of communications technology in the U.S., causing catastrophic effects on U.S. critical infrastructure, or interfering in or altering the results of a federal election in order for criminal penalties to apply. So instead of these rumors that go around actually addressing the spokesperson for the bill, right? The spokesperson, the communications director for this bill, instead of quoting this person or looking into actually what it might mean before it gets amended or clarified or anything, it is meant to be stopped in public opinion by saying you are going to jail for 20 years and the government's going to read all of your information and data. And then you're not supposed to look past that part.
So you have to be engaged in sabotage or subversion of communication technology in the US. Okay, so some people are probably saying, "Oh, using a VPN, you're subverting," and this is where
There
they're probably
has
saying
to
this.
be damages.
but causing catastrophic
Yes.
effects. So you accessing TikTok as an individual through a VPN, if it say gets banned, maybe you're subverting something.
Okay.
Subvert. Let's say I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, sure.
So maybe you are, engaging in subversion of communications technology, but you're not causing catastrophic effects by watching some dancing, woman to a song.
No.
You're not causing catastrophic effects on U.S. critical infrastructure or interfering in or altering the result of a federal election. That's the part that you have to focus on.
Right. Yeah, for sure. If you are using a VPN to watch a Brony convention best of clips,
Yes.
or you're watching, I'm just picking random stuff here.
That you normally watch, yeah.
That's me. You're the furry guy, right? Yeah. Anyway, if you're doing this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're not subverting federal elections. You're not subverting national security, right?
Yes.
It has to lead to damages, right? And that's the important thing. You don't have to support this bill, but I think it's very important that when there has been clarification,
Yes.
that you have to look at that clarification instead
Sure.
of saying, no, this is what I'm hearing right now. No, this could be extended to anything, right? Now, there's some big misinfo coming out of this. Let's continue.
Yeah, I just want to say, this whole idea of using a VPN is going to put you as an individual in jail is bullshit if you read this.
If you read the clarification of what this means, it doesn't say everyone that says, read the bill.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, if you use a VPN to go on TikTok, you're going to jail for 20 years. It doesn't say that in the bill.
It's nowhere in the bill because it doesn't exist.
Right, continue.
Yeah.
So let's get into some more details about this because for some reason it's going crazy. It says, this bill is squarely aimed at companies like Kaspersky, Huawei, and TikTok that create systemic risks in the United States' national security, not individual users. The idea for this bill, and the reason that we covered it in the last episode, at least the idea on paper that we can get behind, and again, I say, not behind the bill necessarily, but get behind the idea that started the bill, is that there are companies from China that are coming to the US and accessing hundreds of millions of users of data, right? And they're doing it with no scrutiny.
Yes.
And everything that's been done to try to mitigate that or change ownership, do whatever, has not worked thus far. Therefore, something has to be done. It's not to restrict the fact that an American can go look at something in Iran or China or whatever. It's the fact that there is an app that has become the majority app for 100 million plus people. That's where they get their news from. That's where they get their information from. That's where they get their election information from. That's where they actually go, type things in a search bar. That's where they go and upload videos of themselves with location data. All of that stuff is going to China, the Chinese government.
Yeah.
And they're using it maliciously to alter an algorithm to put you on a certain path in life.
And
that's information warfare.
And here's the thing. Even if they're not doing it, the fact that they have the ability to do that, and they could literally, if they wanted to tomorrow, change the algorithm to feed you, hey, don't vote for this guy because he sucks, and feed you everything that shows don't vote for these people, vote for these people, or don't do this, do that, or stop supporting your government because they suck. And, you know, China's government is great. The fact that they can do this, and they definitely can do this, is the worry.
Right. Now, it was very interesting. What I wanted to do is really hone, because, again, I like the background of the bill.
Yeah.
I support many amendments and adjustments, just like bills. That's how bills work.
Yeah, of course. You take a bill, and when people are like, screw this, we don't like this part of it, cut it out.
Or add things.
Yes.
Or clarify.
Isn't that what amendments are? I know
all
you
of
guys
these things.
in America always going on about the Second Amendment, right?
Sure, yeah.
It's an amendment.
I'm not always going on about
I'm
the
not,
Second
not you,
Amendment.
but like Americans love to talk about the
Sure.
Second Amendment.
Of course.
It's an amendment, right?
Or the First Amendment.
Yeah. Which is that?
Freedom of speech.
Oh, that's freedom of speech, right?
Yeah.
So before you had an amendment, you had no freedom of speech.
Correct.
In America, it was like, you may not.
Right.
And you may not have a right to bear arms.
Correct.
And people are like, screw this, let's add that in.
Right. But
we're going to amend
those
it.
are amendments, yeah.
And that's what we
in
need
Bill
to do.
of Rights and stuff. However, we're talking about an actual bill that will be potentially be put into law. And the idea, again, is to restrict adversarial countries in their malicious use of Americans' data for
Correct,
national security,
correct.
right? Also, to restrict the access of an adversarial government on information technology. Because, again,
Routers, Wi-Fi.
I think one of the best things about the idea of this bill, again,
Yeah.
I'm not putting my name behind the bill yet. Not until it has some crucial amendments, right?
Yeah, we need to have a Second Amendment.
Stop.
It's true, though. The
let's get
Restrict Act,
serious for
Second
a
Amendment,
second.
First Amendment, yeah.
Getting serious for a second.
Yeah.
I think one of the most crucial aspects of this bill and why it's important
Yeah.
is that it's not just about TikTok, right?
Sure.
I think, you know, when people are like, screw this bill, let's just have a ban. I can get behind that in certain aspects, right? You address that actual core problem right away. But the core problem is not just TikTok.
No.
If it takes this long in a democratic country to vote things in, amend, and go through appeals courts, things like this, right? Then the problems can come from a foreign government that has authoritarian power immediately, overnight, every single day.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, TikTok could just literally, they could talk to Kim Jong-un or whatever and say, let's release Jumburu Internet, which
Yes.
is, you know, the TikTok, but under another name,
Correct.
but coming from North Korea this time.
over and over.
There are other apps that we have to worry about too, things like Temu, you know.
Things
which,
like Russian
by-
state media apps.
Yeah, by the way, Temu, Pinduoduo,
Right.
the Chinese version of Temu was recently kicked out of the Google App Store because it had malware in it.
我不想要一只拼多多
Exactly.
Some deep cut
I mean,
joke there.
yeah, there's a lot of apps out there and a lot of information technology warfare and cyber warfare that China employs, and this is the kind of bill that could tackle those things.
Correct. Now, in this bill, I would like to see directly to point out TikTok. I
Yeah.
would like it to address very specific things.
Yeah.
I would like this bill to be very specific in what stipulates something that breaks all of these laws.
Yeah.
I would like the bill to stipulate the fact that users are not targeted.
Yes.
I would like this bill to stipulate all of the things that are directly in how they would work against the U.S. national security. And I think those things would be added, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing about a bill is it's an idea, right? It's an idea to put it out there, and we'll see
Yeah.
if we like it, right? And then we can vote on it, right?
Correct.
So I wanted to dive deep into the dissenting opinions.
Sure.
You got to zoom out from the rumors. Those can only do so much damage, right?
Yeah.
You can have every man and his friend going around say, vote against this bill because you're going to go to jail if you use a VPN. The U.S. government's going to
Dude,
become like the CCP.
People have been sharing out like, what's that? Oh, man, what's that like annoying guy who fixes MacBooks or whatever? They keep sharing that all the time because he made a thing about it. They keep sharing out all these different TikTokers, and at the end of the day, they're all saying the same thing. You're going to get 20 years in jail and a fine of up to $1 million, you know, without actually showing any real understanding or
Yes.
proof. It's just a rumor,
Right.
you know?
So, interestingly enough, I wanted to go into the most popular dissenting opinions. One
Okay.
of them on the progressive side would be from AOC, right? Well, one of the progressive sides, right?
Sure.
And I thought it was a little bit interesting because she went into why there needs to be more specifics about why TikTok is to be banned. I don't think that's the argument on the table. That has been made very and abundantly clear as to why TikTok should be banned.
Sure.
I think she very much glossed over any criticism, real criticism of why the bill exists, right? I think you can have a healthy skepticism of the bill, but I'm pretty sure we know why TikTok should be banned.
Sure.
It's been proven empirically over and over again. Very clearly what the ambitions of the Chinese government are, very clear on their overreach and overstep of what they own in TikTok and what their ultimate goals for America is, right?
Yeah.
I think we know this, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was very weird that she didn't really head on the bill, like the healthy skepticism of the bill. She headed on like, why are we banning TikTok? We need to make it abundantly clear. We know.
Yeah.
We know why TikTok's supposed to be banned, right?
Sure.
So that was kind of a weird take, I thought. But there's some other weird takes too.
Okay, let's see your
That
weird
actually
takes.
might not be so weird.
Okay.
But let's look at this. It says the ban's criminal penalties.
Yes.
Right? This is the thing that everyone keeps talking about. Getting $1 million fine and 20 years in jail, and you're going to be just like the CCP, right?
Yes.
Which include up to a fine of up to $1 million or imprisonment up to 20 years, has caused some alarm among the bill's observers, who have questioned whether some TikTok fanatics might face jail time for using a VPN to get around the ban and access the app. But a spokesperson for Senator Mark Warner's bill, the bill's sponsor, told Newsweek that it would not apply to individual users.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's false.
You can say, bills can be used for overreach and more stipulations can come into play and a law can get out of control. And I understand that.
That's why you need a Second Amendment.
Yes. Or a third or a 10th or
Yeah.
a revision. I should probably say a revision.
I think you can have amendments to bills.
You can. And you can also have revisions, but you can also have explanations. And I think that's the most important thing. I think the nature of the bill is correct. I think that its overreach, the potential for overreach exists. But I also think that there's plenty of time and room for clarification.
Yeah,
right?
and amendments.
And amendments. Continue.
Okay.
Let's look at another side of things.
Yep.
Because obviously AOC would be on the left side of things, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of Democrats are very upset with her take on that, by the way. Just wanted to be fair on
Sure,
this, right?
sure.
I just want to look at this real quick. We have the bill. Read the bill! Did you read the bill?
What is it called? It says PIACT, PACT. Priority Information and Communications Technology areas.
Because
PIACTA.
there's another piece of information here that is massive and damaging, super bad disinfo.
Yes.
And this is the other side of things. We keep talking about the VPN 20-year thing. I think we've harped on enough about that.
Yeah.
You know what other people are saying?
Oh, that they can access all your files and data and stuff in your house or whatever?
What they're doing is they're taking the screenshot that I took myself just to show how damaging this could be.
Right.
What if I said this, right? What if I said, you don't clip this out of context, by the way.
Sure.
What if I said this? With this bill, right? And imagine the top doesn't exist there.
Okay, so the top
With
doesn't
this
exist.
bill,
Yeah.
the U.S. government will have access to your wireless local area network, your mobile network, your satellite payloads, your satellite operation and control, your cable access points, and I rattled these off, right? Wouldn't you feel scared? You'd say, wait a minute, why does...
Yeah, I'd be like, screw that. Then why do they have access to my personal networks?
They're going to get in my router in my house and see
house.
exactly what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
This is being clipped out, and China pro-China shills, pro-CCP shills, I should say, are going around saying that these are the things that are being signed into the bill that the U.S. will have access to. The U.S. government will have access to your information. These are the things that will be stipulated and scrutinized if these technologies from a foreign country try to get sold in the American market.
Like a Huawei router.
Correct.
Right.
For over 1 million users. It has nothing to do with the U.S. government's access to your information on these devices.
Yeah, exactly.
It's if you know what I would feel nervous about.
What's
is
that?
if I was a Chinese businessman
Yeah.
that just came up with a malicious router that reroutes all of internet traffic and I'm based in the US, but I'm sourcing my router from China and selling it here, and I have a huge customer base, over 1 million people.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this bill got signed in. That's when I would feel nervous.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's not a person's the end user's problem.
Yeah, that's right.
See how this is being taken completely out of context?
Yeah, so should we just read that
You
heading
don't
at the
have
top
to. I
there?
mean, people, you can read the bill. It's in the...
Read the bill.
It's
There it
in
is.
the
Read
description.
the bill. Yeah.
Let's continue.
Okay, let's continue on.
So, do you remember this? This is going to be a wild, wild deep cut to kind of rope people back into the fray.
Sure.
Do you remember this protest?
Yeah, it was something called Rage Against the War Machine, which was set up by a lot of CCP-connected people, actually. They were involved.
Yeah, they were involved, yeah.
And also pro-Russian,
Yep.
people.
So basically what this was a protest that was headed by the Libertarian Party of America and the People's Party of America. So the Libertarians and the communist type.
Yeah, but
party,
the
right?
interesting thing is that a lot of organizations and people connected to the CCP that do CCP propaganda were connected to this event as
And
well.
Russia.
Yeah, and
like
Russia.
you said. So I just
Same
wanted to look
thing,
at-
really, to be honest. They're an ally with Axis.
So it's kind of weird, I thought, that the Libertarian Party, which is for no government control or less government control,
Yeah.
and the People's Party, I could kind of see. But anyway, these two forces aligned in the U.S. to put on this Rage Against the War machine against the war in Ukraine, right? And it was sponsored. By the way, it was promoted by.
I
Li
like how
Jinping.
it was, but it's like against the war in Ukraine as long as you let Russia win.
Yes. Oh,
Like-
it's very pro-war in
It's like-
Ukraine. If you allow.
it's against the resistance against Russia in Ukraine.
So
Yeah.
it was promoted by the Chinese government, by the way. That
Yeah.
previous slide that you're on, that was Li Jinping of CGTN.
Yeah.
Literally the Chinese government
Chinese
that was
state-
promoting a Libertarian People's Party protest in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
These are some stills from the protests. We have
Yeah,
some,
we have Russian Z people in there.
we have the Soviet Union flag with Z carrying it.
Yeah.
You had some voices. You have Ukraine out of Donbass. You have a man with a hammer and sickle face mask.
Hang on a second. What is he LARPing as over there? Like a communist jelly bean? I'm serious. Like, what is that? Like, you know what? I give my kid those
A jelly bean.
those little gummies or whatever, like a gummy bear or whatever. He looks like that.
Yes.
He looks like a piece of shit, is what he looks like.
So
Ketchup man. over
Yeah,
there.
ketchup.
Ketchup flavored jelly bean.
So you had a bunch of speakers there.
Sure,
right?
sure.
And some very high profile people, but a lot of literally Kremlin bots.
Yeah,
like
sure,
Kremlin spokespeople and China spokespeople, right?
Yeah.
So you have I'm not even joking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the next picture will zoom in a little harder so you can see some fascinating stuff. Ron Paul, by the way, I just want to throw this out there, was a speaker at this protest, okay?
Okay.
Now, I'm a former supporter of Ron Paul.
I've heard his name, but I know nothing about him. I'm not big into the politics
Very
here yet.
libertarian guy, right?
Okay.
Small government, all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Speaking at this event, which on the surface will look like, okay, it's just an anti-war thing behind that, right?
Yeah.
But was literally, the other speakers are literally Putin spokespeople and Xi Jinping spokespeople and far fringe, like, radical groups.
Yes.
Right? And you look at this, and he is speaking, and you're like, what's going on? I mean, behind the speakers, there's a sign that says, to stop World War III, the USA must join the new paradigm, and that is Putin and Xi.
Yeah.
You saw this around the protest.
Ramaphosa as well. I think. Yeah.
You saw this around the protests where people holding up pictures of Xi Jinping and Putin, right?
Yeah.
In this anti-war protest, which is just wild to me.
Yeah, I know.
Right? But it got scarier when you actually looked who was speaking there as like highlighted
A lot of
guests.
NGOs were connected to it too.
Yeah, if you go on, I just
Yeah.
want to point out some people that were there. The Libertarian Party, by the way, the reason I said I was a former supporter of the Libertarian Party and Ron Paul is because of the unbelievable takes that are going on right now.
Yeah.
Pro-Russia, like, talking points, and then also Taiwan is part of China, right? These kind of messages are getting spread around. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get like, what's going on here? This is like maddening. It's the opposite of what libertarian ideals
You must
are.
feel dirty.
It's
It's kind of like that guy who had a thing with Li Jingjing, you know. He must feel dirty about that too. You know what I mean?
how you managed to
Because back then he didn't realize just how bad she was.
Yeah. We don't even
You know
know
who
what,
you are.
You also don't even know what thing you're talking about.
Yeah. Well,
Just a working relationship. Anyway,
sure. Yeah.
let's continue. I promise this is come back to the bill.
Right.
So just some guest speakers there. We had somebody named Jackson Hinkle who says God will liberate Ukraine from the Satanists, who poses with guns saying "Pushin' Z."
MAGA communism.
He is a Californian American who also created MAGA communism, and he's not trolling. Like he was one of the top speakers at that
This
protest.
is some clown world shit.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
right? This is like idiocracy.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to get a taste from that protest because we've
Sure.
covered this before. But Ron Paul's son, Rand Paul, ran for president, right? Rand for president. Okay. Yeah, for the Republican
I'm just thinking
Party.
of like South African currency and how worthless it is.
Oh, the Rand.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Now, I know this seems kind of like I got to circle back.
Okay,
right?
yeah. What are you
Ron
losing us in
Paul's-
this American politics shit? Shit.
You have to understand.
Okay, all right.
Ron Paul's son, Rand Paul, ran for
Right,
president,
right.
right? Stop. Don't pause there.
Don't pause here.
No. I mean, yes, pause there.
You said don't pause
I
there.
meant don't unpause there.
Okay, all right.
he was one of the biggest proponents on the other side, on the Republican side, of not allowing this bill to go through.
Okay, so he's very much against this bill.
Correct. So we looked at AOC.
The bill that you won't go to jail for 20 years
Correct.
for using a VPN.
The majority of Democrats disagreed with AOC.
Okay.
But she's a genesis of a lot of the more farther left-wing opinion about why this bill is bad.
Sure.
Now, on the right side, you have the majority of Republicans that are for this bill as well, right? They're both parties unified.
Sure, sure.
But the biggest dissenting opinion on this side would be Rand Paul, so I want to pick him.
So he's like, screw this bill.
Yes. So I want to look into why, and some healthy scrutiny of the bill is correct, right? But then you actually look into it a little bit, and it gets mad sus.
Okay, like what?
So one of his biggest donors, this guy named Jeff. Yes, yes,
Okay.
Jeff. Yes,
Yeah.
Queen.
Okay.
He's the richest guy in our state of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
He donated $2.3 million to Rand Paul's presidential candidacy, right? So he was one of the biggest donors, right?
So he donates a lot to this guy who's against the bill.
Yeah, he's a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
He donates a lot of money to this guy, and this guy is also very much against the bill. I'm going to assume. Do you know why? Let's go to the next page.
Okay, why would he be against the
So
bill?
Rand Paul is one of his biggest donors here.
Well, he's the biggest donor to Rand Paul.
Yes, one of the biggest donors to Rand Paul is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Is also he owns 7% of ByteDance, TikTok's parent company. Not
Okay.
just TikTok, the Chinese company.
Yeah.
He owns an American guy, a Pennsylvanian,
Yeah.
owns 7% of ByteDance.
Well, then that's why you wouldn't want it banned in America. Makes total
30
sense.
half of his $33 billion fortune, this guy, right? This yes guy is TikTok, is ByteDance.
Okay.
Right. So then I start to see maybe there's other, and again, I think Rand Paul probably came out there and he said something like, oh, that has nothing to do with it or something like this, right? But I think you can start to see these dissenting opinions always have a genesis.
Like, hey, remember that 2.3 million or whatever I gave you for your election campaign? Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? This TikTok thing's really good.
Right.
You know, I think we should, maybe just make sure that it doesn't get banned. What do you say? What do you say? You want another 2.3 million in the future?
It's
Are you sure?
right?
Yeah. Do you hypothetically want my donations in the future? Do you?
Right. So I mean,
Do you hypothetically want to go downstairs because there's a Ferrari waiting for you with the keys in the ignition?
All right, we get it. All right, yes.
Okay.
Anyway, I just wanted to point out there, whenever there's a genesis of either big opinions that are saying, no, this is bad, right?
Sure.
You got to look into it a little bit. And I'm not saying that's 100% Rand Paul's motivation. Maybe he is just like, no government control over anything, right? Maybe that's the case. But you got to look into some things sometimes, right? So we covered it from the China side. What their dual purpose approach for this propaganda is for you to be against this bill.
Yes.
And keep in mind why. They want TikTok to proliferate in the US.
It's wildly successful for the Chinese government on many different forms, but it's giving them a huge amount of sway over public opinion in the USA.
Yes.
And it's giving them access. Right now, they have access to any TikTok user they want.
Right.
Right now.
Yes.
If the Chinese government, if Xi Jinping said, right now, I want you, John Smith, I want John Smith's location, I want John Smith's habits, I want to know what he likes.
I want to know how to be able to manipulate him.
I want access to the microphone on his on his phone so I can listen to them. I want access to camera. I want to know his movements over the last 5 years. Anything. Right now, they can go, the ByteDance, the CCP goes to ByteDance and says, give us this information. ByteDance connects to TikTok. They still have access. Remember, even though there's been this whole thing about, oh, we're going to, set up Project Texas and stuff. Oh, we're going to firewall off the data. They haven't yet. And even if they do, they'd still be able to do it. But they go and they say, okay, let's go get that guy's information. It goes back to Xi Jinping and they have all the information right now. Why would China ever want to give that up?
The Chinese government is winning a massive information warfare campaign.
Yeah.
While they have blocked every single website and app from the US in their own country. Do you see the hypocrisy there?
It's kind of like you've got a larder. What do you call it? What would you call that? Like a
storage
pantry.
fridge.
A pantry or
Sure.
something.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. But you keep yours with a lock on it. Okay.
Yeah.
But your neighbor's like, hey, come on in and help yourself if you're ever feeling hungry.
Sure.
And you
By
just
the way,
go
can
in.
we get this off the back?
Sure. And you just go in there and you grab all their food all the time and you keep throwing it in your larder and locking it up. And the neighbor's like, hey, man, you keep taking all this stuff. Can I have a little something back? And you're like, no, mine's off limits. It's locked. It's the same kind of thing. That's what China's doing.
And by the way, all the food that you're potentially giving to somebody else's poison.
Yeah, if they give
they
you
were to
food.
give-
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
No, it's a bad situation, and it's completely unfair.
I just want to wrap this up by saying this is bipartisan. You don't need to blindly support a bill.
No, of course not.
Things do
And you
need
should
to be scrutinized.
That's something that's good about America is people
Yeah.
do stand up for their rights. You can't do that in China.
No.
If the Chinese government says from now on you must do this,
Yeah.
people have to do it. You can't like write your congressman and say, I don't like that.
I'm very, very concerned, though, that with healthy scrutiny, that's the correct thing to do. That's being pushed aside, and the majority opinion is following rumors that they're seeing on TikTok.
Yes.
Where their genesis...
Does this not prove? Does this not prove that this is a bad app?
TikTok is currently running the biggest campaign they've ever run to change your mind about the bill.
Yes.
Is this not the case study?
Oh, yeah, 100%. We keep seeing it. We had a whole bunch of videos lined up, but we didn't want to bore you with them because, to be quite honest, they're just sickening. And the people that are putting these things out there, if you look at them, you just don't even see them. They're just like, the lies that they're spouting about this bill. And the way they couching all this stuff is in a way that they're being informative, and you guys don't realize this, but this bill, if it goes through, you're going to jail for 20 years if you just even think about using a VPN.
Yeah.
And the matter-of-fact way that they're saying
Yeah.
it and trying to convince you is so dishonest and
Yeah.
so disingenuous,
It's
it
gross.
makes me sick.
It's so gross, and that's
Yeah.
why we did this. We want our audience to have public, like a very decent scrutiny of any law that goes in, or potential overreach of the government.
Yeah.
But when the majority of opinions stop at the information, the information stops at them watching a TikTok video about how they're going to jail, then that's disinformation. That's not only disinformation, that's information warfare.
Yes.
That's getting you to change your political opinion about something from a foreign government that wants the worst for your country.
And that's what the American government is worried about.
Yes.
Is TikTok having sway over local legislation,
Correct.
over local bills, over local voting, local rules. And this is, once again, as you said, it's a case study.
Yes.
It just shows how they can do that.
Correct.
And what they are doing.
Now, I want the conversation to continue. More speech, not less. We're not here to kibosh any debate about the bill. The bill is important to talk about. It's
It
important
needs
to criticize.
its own Second Amendment,
Yes.
whichever that's going to be.
Jokes aside,
Yeah.
this needs to continue in dialogue, right?
Yeah.
But do not let an influence campaign warp your mind to the point where that's where it stops. Where you say, did you read the bill? And you're going around
And
trying
you're
to
just
convince
against
people of
it.
something, and you're like, wait a minute. Where did I actually go? Step back. Which video puts you in that direction? Look up that user. Look where their opinions are coming from.
Yeah.
Look what maybe did this come out of the blue? Is it a bit weird for them to be talking about this? Maybe it's a politician. Look into their motivations. Everything has some sort of motivation, right? Independent thought, like we pride ourselves on. That's why
Lots
we
of
don't
independent thoughts on TikTok, I'll tell you that much.
We don't affiliate ourselves with any government at all.
Yeah.
We don't affiliate with any sort of political ideology even. We are independent thinkers that want to make sure that you are also independently thinking. You don't
Yes.
have to agree with anything that we say, but at least go and do your own research. Don't just stop. Don't stop your opinion at a rumor.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's what we want you to walk away with. But
Anyway.
we also want you to walk away with some athletic greens.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that's true. Sorry. A quick word from our sponsor. Oh, wrong one. Most important thing on a bike trip, beer. And the most important thing for a healthy lifestyle is a healthy diet.
And that's why I'm proud to say this video is brought to you by Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day, and originally I wanted to give it a try because I wanted better gut health, I wanted increased energy, I wanted immune system support, and I hate taking all these like 10 pounds of vitamins and pills and all these vegetables and stuff. It's so much more convenient to take AG1 in the morning before I even drink my coffee. It makes me feel amazing because I know I just did something really good for my body. It's got all the vitamins I need. It's got everything that my body craves throughout the day. Taking AG1 is so easy. It's the easiest thing you can do under a minute. It's 1 scoop of powder mixed with water once a day, and it's been part of millions of mornings since 2010. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/ADV. That's athleticgreens.com/ADV. Check it out.
Yo, we're back. So, thank you again to Athletic Greens. Still take mine every day.
Yes, absolutely. And we want to thank both our sponsors today for actually keeping the show going, along with you guys that are actually watching.
Yeah.
And especially the Super Chats, which we'll get to in the Yum Cha section.
Absolutely.
So just stay patient.
So are we moving on to our next segment?
Actually, this segment is another part of Soft Power Hour.
Okay, so we're going to just continue on. Guys, Tsai Ing-wen, English vegetables as we like to call her, because that's not exactly the translation. But
It's actually a Taiwan joke.
Yeah.
People call her English vegetables because
Yeah.
it's kind of a play on words.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
She is the president of Taiwan, and Taiwan, as we all know, is a free and fair democratic country.
One of the most free in the world.
Is not a part of China.
Nope.
Absolutely not a part of China.
Just want to throw this out there. Taiwan has a democracy rating, Freedom House rating of over 90 out of 100. So think of that. Your kid comes home from school like, Mom, I got a 94 on my math test. That's good, right?
Yeah.
China has a 9 out of 100. If your kid came home with a 9 out of 100, what would you say?
You'd be like, go to your room without dinner.
Yeah, you're mad regarded.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way you speak to your kids.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, though, without hashing out the politics, you should know by now, Taiwan is an island. There was a civil war in China, and, it split off. The communists took over the mainland, and the nationalists kind of fled to Taiwan. And then things changed, and there were some bad times and good times, but they changed, and they grew into a democracy. It's a beautiful place. It's one of our favorite places to go in the world. It has never been under control of communist China.
Yes.
The communist government has not once ruled the island, but they still claim it as their own, even though it's not.
Yeah.
So that might explain a little bit why they're so pissed off, because Tsai Ing-wen has crossed another red line.
Yes, which we'll have another red line. Actually, I have 2 red lines today.
Okay.
Anyway.
What did she do?
She came to America, to New York City, which is crazy, right? Like, China is so pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
They actually can't believe that she went this far, / the US went this far.
Yeah.
Because China, like you said, China doesn't acknowledge that Taiwan exists of its own sovereignty, right?
Yeah, so they get so pissed off whenever Taiwan does anything.
Yeah, because to them, any leadership in Taiwan that's not CCP is traitorous.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a rogue state.
Yeah.
So she's here diplomatically.
So
right?
what do we have going on in the background here?
So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get all these protesters come out.
Yeah, let's take a look at them quickly.
I mean, you have the United Fujianese. Not Fujianese, Fujianese.
I think we actually have to set this up even better.
Okay.
So basically, Tsai Ing-wen, the president of Taiwan, is going to New York to have a couple meetings,
Yeah.
and, hang out with some people and just pop in and stuff. So a protest was organized outside of the hotel where she's going to stay. Okay, so they know where she's going to be staying. So about 200 odd Chinese.
It's 500 max.
Yeah, it was 500 the max, but 200 to 500.
Yeah.
Ethnic Chinese people turned up, were waving mainland China flags and holding up placards. And let's just show you so that when she would arrive, this is what she'd be greeted with.
Please tell me, what is the United Fujianese American Women's Friendship Association? By the way, going through all this footage, I have to say, if any relevant authorities for some reason watch our show, the
Look into
amount
every
of
one of these.
bullshit organizations
Yeah.
that have almost no online presence or are absolutely United Front CCP organizations are all here.
Yeah,
It's wild.
When they're throwing in women's and friendship,
Yes,
that's
yes.
definitely some kind of smoke screen.
Yep.
Anyway, that's just a bullshit organization. United Front thing, obviously, probably. Look
Taiwan
into
is
National
National
Sinner.
Oh, man.
Fuzhou. Have you noticed that, it's always Fujian and Fuzhou, same as the police stations that kept the Fuzhou friendship and this and that. Those were the police,
A lot of
overseas
international
police stations.
organization.
And all coming out of Fujian and Fuzhou, eh? Yeah.
Might want to look into that.
Yeah, I'd look into that. Tsai Ing-wen is big trader. Okay, now here's kind of an important thing I'd like you to notice is there were organizers for this protest.
Yes.
Okay, here they are bringing the flags in for the protesters. Okay, you can see the flags all lined up, getting ready for when the protests arrive because they bust them in. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we were having this discussion. Okay, let's say there's something that we really don't like. I don't know, maybe we want to go and protest gas prices or something. Okay, what do? We'll get together. We'll organize on social media. People will get there. People will come in, and we'll all get there on our own. We'll figure our own way there, and we'll go and protest.
Yeah.
This is an organized protest where people were given meals where people were bussed in, and you'll find out allegedly paid as well to come and do it. So
That'd be
here,
the first time.
yeah, here they are setting up the flags, ready for the protesters. And of course,
Down with Tsai Ing-wen.
down with Tsai Ing-wen. This dude with the mohawk, by the way, he seems to be a big organizer of this.
Yeah, he's in
part
all
of it.
the clips.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, there's another organization, the Four Seas United organization.
Yeah.
And I just want to go out there and say that if you look at the pro-Taiwan protesters here, they all had no English mistakes on their signs.
Yes.
They were all very polite and cheery and friendly. And these protesters here look like they don't give a shit about what's going on, by the way.
No, they don't. They're just,
There's no
it's a
motivation.
payday.
Yeah.
It's a payday. Let's take a look what else they're up to here. Tsai Ing-wen is scum.
I mean, they're just crass,
Yeah.
aren't they? These organizers here that were, by the way, organized, again, by the Chinese government through embassies,
Yes.
from what it looks like,
Yeah.
are trying to get them to say just gross stuff. Just really rude and gross things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
对蔡英文卖国求荣，
Betrayal of the country.
对抗议蔡英文那个台湾统一。
Okay, so the interesting thing is that, of course, these protests were spread all over Chinese state media. Okay, here you've got a Chinese official tweeting it out. It's in the Global Times, as we all know, which is a Chinese state, official state
There's Mohawk
newspaper.
guy again.
Yeah, Mohawk guys in all of them. Again, it wasn't such a big protest, but they used these like zoom shots to make it look
all crowded.
look like there were like thousands of people there or something. So it was being used as propaganda. Well, obviously they set it up. But a funny thing is that they screwed up. They got a very well-known idiom in Chinese, which the idiom basically means don't forget where you come from.
Right.
Okay? But they screwed it up. They mixed the characters around to
Right.
make it sound
Yeah,
like
it's out of
count.
order.
Yeah, count your ancestors.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I
numbering
see.
classics and forgetting
I
ancestors.
hadn't seen this.
Instead of forgetting the classics and counting the ancestors. If you look, I looked up the idiom because I wasn't familiar with it, and it really just means like, don't forget where you're from. Don't
Okay.
forget
Yeah,
your
no,
roots.
I can see how it's flip-flopped.
But here's the thing: if you are a native Chinese speaker, you wouldn't hold up that sign.
No.
It's kind of like if you went to a protest and someone said like, you're going to have to hold up the sign, and instead of saying kill two birds with one stone, it says lick a frog with your toe. You would be like, what is this, right?
Right.
Because it's not an idiom.
right.
It's just gibberish.
So
It doesn't make sense.
It's just illiteracy is what they're claiming, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that these signs have just been printed for them to
Like
hold.
haphazardly.
Yeah, and just like Ongerwarm, you remember?
Yeah, but I think I threw an Ongerwarm in.
Yeah,
Told me
you
to
know-
stick that in there.
Yeah, that's right. They remember when
yeah.
they handed these out to the protesters in
Yeah.
Taiwan?
Yeah.
And it was Ongerwarm. We got patches made, guys. Remember, those of you, obviously they're not for sale anymore, but we did get these awesome patches for the Ongerwarm thing made.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, update.
yes,
We
put
did
that-
receive payments.
Yeah.
And all of the proceeds, we talked to the creator of the patches, all of the proceeds will be going to charity,
Yeah.
which we'll show you publicly.
Yeah, we'll show you which charity it'll go. So it's a charity of his
We'll
choice.
show you the receipt as
The
well.
guy who designed the patch is going to charity. But anyway, you know, they did the Ongerwarm thing also when they hastily put together a protest and organized one last time.
Yeah.
Right? So this time they screwed up their own Chinese idiom, you know?
Yeah,
and of
that's
course,
funny.
you know, Taiwanese people and Chinese dissidents and so on are making fun of this because they're like, why would you hold up something that's
Yeah, well,
wrong like this?
that is
Are you
funny.
that dumb? Like, can you, either you can't read or you just don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, here, hold a sign, and you hold it.
I can tell you a lot of those people don't give a shit.
Yeah, of course
It's
not.
just mobilized.
It's just a payday. Did you put in the WeChat?
I dumped
Message?
everything you sent me,
Okay.
so it should be in there. What is this?
Now, remember, I sent you the actual message that was organizing it?
Just wait.
Oh, okay, it's in there? All right. Now, CCP paid Chinese gangsters $200 each to crash Taiwan president's New York arrival. Okay. What is NSB? National Security Bureau? I think so.
Yes, I believe. Yeah. So that's the Taiwan.
Yeah, this is from a Taiwan news source.
Yes.
Legislator Wang Tingyu says gangsters paid by China to harass the elected head of state.
Yes, there was a Taiwan news article about this. So I guess the organizers were paid $200 from the Chinese embassy. So it actually originated from the Chinese embassy.
Yeah, now this is allegedly pictures of money being handed out to attend the
Yeah,
protest.
basically what they're alleging is that people were paid in lunch boxes and I think $50 or something.
Yeah, they were given money and incentive, and they were also
Yeah.
paid their bus fares and everything to get there.
Yeah.
Were paid too. You didn't
I
include
guess it's not in there. No.
that's the most important thing. That is literally the most important thing. Can we get it? Can we get it so I can put it up here?
I don't know what it looks like, but I can try.
Remember, I sent it to you. It's a WeChat message. It's the WeChat message that's organizing it. It's like, hey, this is where you must go, and etc. etc.
All right, calm
Yeah.
down, calm down.
I mean,
a
I-
lot of things I have to.
I know.
to
These
do.
things slip through the cracks, but that, at least in my mind, is the most important because it's actual like evidence of the organization. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'll just give you the gist of it while he looks it up. But you know, WeChat again is one of those apps that probably needs a bit of scrutiny, just like TikTok.
A bit.
You know what I'm saying? But WeChat groups. This is how people in the Chinese diaspora communicate with each other. They all use WeChat. I'd say like 90% of the Chinese people that I've met in America use WeChat, and they prefer it. And it is more friendly to Chinese language speakers. So they use this to organize. And so in the WeChat groups that were going around organizing this protest, a message was sent out from, what was it, the Chinese
I have the
mission?
translated version.
You have the translated
Yeah,
version?
which is fine.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we just ran it through Google Translate so you can see.
Yeah. Let me
We'll bring it up for you. Yeah.
just pop it on the thing.
You're going to put it on the desktop?
Yeah.
Alrighty. This is going to be a feat of note if I can manage to pull this off.
Should be easy enough.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah, tell me when it's up there.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. It's there. Right, got it. Let me try and set this up. I have to go to images. Been a while since we've done this.
Behind the sausage fest or whatever it's called.
It's a sausage factory. What is on your mind? Anyway,
over here.
yeah. Let me. Can you say something or do something while I figure it
Yeah, I
out?
can read a super chat. Anthony Saint says, dumb question. How many CCP supporters does it take to screw in a light bulb?
No idea.
I don't know. Did it ever happen? I don't know. Did that ever happen? And if it did, we need to stop it.
Yeah.
Snappy452 says, shout out to my boy on Chinese TikTok, the guy that was hoarding the plus size women.
All right.
himself.
TikTok. I like it.
Liang Hua Qingwen says, I want TikTok banned, but I also love it for all the pretty girls. I'm torn. Here in Singapore, we get so many wonderful girls from all over Southeast Asia. And as a middle-aged guy, where will I watch these girls? Bro, you don't have to watch freaking TikTok to see beautiful women.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys can see it up on the screen. Apologies for the low quality here, but this is literally just a screenshot of a Google Translate of this. So we'll read it out for you, and there will be grammar mistakes and so on because it's a Google Translate. We have the original one, which was passed around. It says, overseas Chinese strongly protest Tsai Ing-wen's fleeing visit. Okay. Notice from the United States. Okay. Man, it's so small. Let me get it bigger. Okay. I'll read it out for you. In order to express the peace-loving people from all walks of life in the United States, strong protest against Tsai Ing-wen's visit to the United States, Brooklyn Chinese United Overseas Chinese Mission appeals to overseas Chinese. Assemble Wednesday, March 29 afternoon. 1. First, we'll go to Tsai Ing-wen's stay in Manchester on this, the hotel, right?
Yeah.
On this and this, the lot, this. In front of peaceful demonstration. In other words, we're going to do a peaceful demonstration in front
of the building.
Yeah. 2, then get on the bus and go to the scene of the reception at 6 that night, the glass house. That's where she was going to go. At this time and at this place, right? To protest peacefully. Again, activity. Send back to Brooklyn Gold after the event. So they'll go back. Pick up time and depart time at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, March 29. Pick up location, Golden Court, Brown Avenue, blah, blah, blah. What else does it say over there? All overseas Chinese delegations are requested to bring their own Chinese and American flags, meeting flags, and banners.
Yep.
Brooklyn Chinese United Overseas Chinese Mission. So this is just proof of it being organized by an association, which is called the Brooklyn, what was it again?
Overseas Chinese Mission or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The Brooklyn Chinese United Overseas Chinese Mission.
Yeah.
Okay, and these are some of the organization messages that were sent around in order to organize this protest against Tsai Ing-wen.
So you have the Chinese embassy telling these groups, these hundreds of these groups,
Sure.
because there's so many, and they make them up overnight, and they're telling them, oh, go here and here to protest this thing. It's not something you should be doing.
It's like go harass her at a hotel and then follow her.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll put you on a bus and take you, and then you're going to go harass her when she goes.
But a foreign government organized
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. If you actually saw the footage of her being received at the, at her hotel, they had the actual Taiwanese people there as well, and they were waving the Taiwan flag, and they all cheered, and they wanted to shake her hand. It was very nice, actually.
Yeah.
And there was a scuffle where the Chinese side, the CCP side, were causing trouble and trying to kind of harass and attack the Taiwanese side of people. Yeah, we've got that footage as well, but it's getting a little long in the tooth here. At the end of the day, what we're seeing here is mobilization of protesters for a cause that they actually just don't care about. They're like, hey, come here, we're going to give you flags, we're going to sort you out, pay you this, get a free meal, etc., from what we've been seeing. And that's what happens. And then they use those optics of these protests in Chinese state propaganda.
Which they're doing now.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they paid those extras in Canada. Remember, they put out adverts for people to be extras in music videos to students. And they all turned up, and they were told to hold up these signs that were like "Free Meng Wanzhou" and stuff. And the cameras were like filming it. And then in China, they were saying, "Look, even Canadians, all these Canadian youth, they also believe that Meng Wanzhou needs to be freed." It's that kind of shit where they just pay people for these stupid optics that they can use.
Literally.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of Soft Power Hour. Let's move on to our next segment, which of course is Wu Mao Corner. So we talk about the haters and all the nonsense that goes along with it. And again, it always gives us quite a clear look into what China's up to when you look at the haters. They're like a litmus test, canary in the coal mine, so to speak.
True that.
But before we do that, don't forget, guys, that we have a show on Monday, like a little secret show. Shaban Ho.
How foreigners
this is what you
become
missed.
Chinese CCP shills.
Or just famous.
Or famous. By starting by eating Chinese spicy food. Spicy chicken feet to genocide denial, right?
Super spicy.
That's such a bullshit fake reaction. I cringe out when I see this shit.
Yeah, me too.
It's so fake. Oh my God.
Isn't it?
I want to die.
Isn't it cringe? Right underneath Tibet in a nutshell, it's like flag raising ceremony in Tiananmen Square, Beijing. Xinjiang dancing happy Uyghurs.
Oh, jeez, she's making me sick.
Anyway, let's take a look at what
I can't watch his shit. Well, it actually makes me uncomfortable.
Just come on, dude.
Off.
Seriously?
Full of shit. They started shit with chili, spicy food, you end up a shill.
Yeah, so there's a reason we blanked out and blurred the footage there, is because if you want to find out who we were talking about and see what was going on, you'll have to actually go watch the show.
We went after some CCP shills.
Yeah.
We have a theory, by the way,
Yeah.
that a lot of CCP shills have a pipeline of how they end up doing propaganda for the Chinese government, and it all starts with eating spicy food.
In showing like how foreigners can't handle the
Yeah.
Chinese spicy food, which is not that spicy.
I know, but I have to. I'm not understating. It's not a joke.
It's true.
It's actually a pipeline we discovered.
Yeah, it's one of the very successful, wealth codes, so to speak.
So what you can do is you can go to patreon.com/ADV podcast.
Yep.
And from there, you can join one of 3 tiers. There's the $5 tier, which will get you access to our Discord, where we go and hang out sometimes. It's an awesome community. Share memes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The $10 tier, which will get you the audio version of our secret show.
Yes.
Every Monday. And then the $20 tier, which is Xiaoban Ho. That's our live show every single Monday. Never skip the beat. Or on episode 39, 40 or something. Mm-hmm. You'll get access to that live stream every Monday, just like you are here right now. It's a whole nother show, whole separate show, but we talk about stuff we can't talk about on YouTube publicly. Usually dicier stuff. We do full exposés.
So we have vote clips of things that are kind of a little over the edge. So you have to vote whether you want to see them or not. Yeah.
And it's a whole interactive thing. It's an amazing community we've built, and you guys are the best part of it. And then from there, once you join that tier, you can see all the previous episodes, so you won't miss out on any.
Yeah, you can see everything. And of course, only if you have the means, guys, we would love to see you there.
It's the best way to support us.
Absolutely the best way to support us. And we just love having that show every Monday. It's
fun.
Our favorite part of the week.
Mad fun.
Yeah. Cool. So let's move on to the actual haterade.
Haterade.
So what's going on in the Wu Mao corner?
Well, it's not Xiaoban Ho, I'll tell you that.
No,
That's full of love.
Yeah.
Oh, no!
Oh, yeah.
Crossing the red line with China.
Yeah.
What do we have? Well, we had Beijing warns of severe impact on U.S.-China relations as Taiwan leader lands in New York. Now, this ties back to what you just saw, these forced protests that were mobilized. It was actually state narrative in China that you are warned.
Yes.
You are warned. This is the final straw. You shall not cross this red line, America.
Yes.
But guess what? They did cross that red line.
They always do. What are they
They always
going to
do.
do? Like Fish Kill 2.0?
Okay, good.
Yeah. I just love this, and you probably didn't include this, is why I'm bringing it up here, but Tsai Ing-wen herself tweeted out, "My accepting the Global Leadership Award from the Hudson Institute CEO." And it's got a picture of her smiling and getting an award by the Hudson
yikes.
Institute, clapping, and like they're all happy about it. That's not what China wants to see.
No, that, I mean,
A Global Leadership Award by the Hudson Institute.
all red lines have been crossed. There's no red lines
China's
left.
going to hate that one.
Wow. Anyway.
She's a very diplomatic lady, and
She's
that's
awesome.
the thing.
I love Tsai Ing-wen.
You look at the way that she interacts with the world and her
Yeah.
government interacts with the world compared to how the Chinese government
So
does.
chill.
Chinese government's a belligerent piece of shit that
Yeah.
is so, I don't know, unpalatable
Yes.
and aggressive
Yeah.
and awful and constantly threatening and, chest thumping and all that crap. And she's just an incredibly nice, diplomatic person who's all about being feel good and cooperation and all that kind
But
of
also
stuff.
doesn't take any shit,
Of course.
which is great.
Yeah, like a proper diplomat should.
yeah.
And you wonder, like, why did we end up in this reality where we accept China
Yeah.
and don't accept Taiwan?
What is this timeline?
Yeah, it's screwed up. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you want to make friends with a school bully who just
Right.
wants to like steal your lunch money all
Yeah.
the time. Or what about the fantastic, very talented artist who's maybe a little bit secluded over there,
Right.
but has a wealth of information
Yeah.
and a wealth
polite.
of things to share with you and show you,
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It is. Anyway, the red line was crossed.
Oh, yeah.
But there was multiple
Recently,
red lines, actually. But I
Yeah.
did want to shout out this video.
Okay.
There's this YouTuber called Illuminati, and she does
Okay.
exposés on evil corporations and things, right?
Right.
And she did a deep dive into Temu. So I just want to play the intro real quick.
Oh, okay. Good old Temu. I love Temu.
Temu, sorry.
Well, they say Temu.
It's just
Okay.
their press releases say pronounce it as Temu.
Oh, okay.
I got a special kind of sponsorship request. They just popped up in my inbox with excitement and a promise. They loved my videos, but clearly they have no idea what I do or were just desperate to get exposed. I'm not really sure which, but who am I to deny them of that experience, right? That company is called Temu.
So Temu reached out to this woman that does very good exposés.
Yeah.
So what she did was take the sponsorship opportunity, obviously not take the money, and then do a deep dive.
I'm so glad because, I can't stand Temu.
Yes.
And I did a video about Temu a while back. Like, how is it they can send you like a 99-cent thing for free through the
Yes.
post from China, but you can't send anything even to your neighbor for that cheap?
Yeah.
So, I'm very happy that other people are starting to tear into Temu and expose its lies and secrets and so on. So please check it out, guys.
Yes. It's in the description.
Oh, you've put it in the description?
Yes.
Okay.
Just want to make sure the link is updated. It's in the wrong spot.
Okay.
I'm going to put it, it's right above the bill. Read the bill, you right?
Sure.
Anyway, once you read the bill, go to this thing. Oh, by the way, just trying to make America look awesome again.
Yeah, why did they keep doing this? I look at this, it's like bloody American interventionism. And again, it's Zhang Heqing, who is a Chinese official who doesn't have a label for some reason.
It's bullshit.
Yeah. Anyway, he put this out. And doesn't that just make America look badass?
Oh, it looks sick.
Every single
so
time.
proud. He makes I'm not even like super patriotic, but I get mad patriotic when I read Chinese propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, that looks great. I
Yeah.
want to be on that side.
Yeah. Don't you want to be on that team?
I do want to
Looks
be on that
sick.
team. Dude
Yeah.
looks hardcore.
He's going to protect you.
Yeah, he's going to come in and he's going to like get the bad guys. You know what I mean? Look at him. Yep.
Awesome. Bloody American interventionism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what they say every time because they're like, "Oh, we can just do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Let's loot and plunder." And then America's
Bloody
like, "No," and they're like, "Oh, bloody American interventionism again." You know what I mean? They can't stand it.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Them and their global stability. Oh my
Gosh,
Yeah,
darn it.
exactly.
Anyway, I just
The
wanted to
stable
say-
dollar.
Yeah. I wanted to say Illuminati was good for the Wumao corner because she took a real good stab at Temu.
which is great.
Which is great. Because
More stabs at Temu, the better.
It's bad.
Temu.
It's real bad.
Temu, whatever.
Anyway, let's move on to worldview.
Okay, worldview, guys. This is where we talk about everything in the world, specifically with regards to China. And this is something that's going on in, looks like, where? What's going on?
This is a toy factory in China, okay? Yeah. And the toy factory in China is going, well, the surrounding area is going through a massive protest. And do you know why?
Why?
Do you know why?
Jobs?
Yes.
Okay.
So the jobs have all, well, it kind of happened without notice, as usual in China. You never get a notice for anything in China.
Yeah.
They just wait. They literally push things. There's no plan in China. They push things to the limit, and then people are like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Everyone lost their job. And you know why? Because the toy factory moved to Vietnam. And this is happening everywhere around China. Huge amounts of industry and manufacturing are leaving China and moving to better countries.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. There's just so much risk involved when you're dealing with manufacturing in China these days. And of course, the wage has risen so much in China that it's no longer economical.
Yeah.
I mean, and I hate to say it, the only reason that China grew so big was because people were they had no choice but to work for next to nothing.
Yeah.
You know, the labor cost was so cheap that it made sense. You could put all this money into building factories and putting in machinery and stuff because at the end of the day, the cheap labor would balance it out. And it would still be cheaper than making it locally.
Yeah.
But now that the wages have increased so much, that's no longer a draw.
Correct.
Why would you want to invest so much if you're going to pay the same as if you would still just making it back home or in another country?
Yeah.
So...
Anyway, another guy, this is going around for
this has gone viral. I've seen this everywhere.
Yeah. This dude is freaking out because he's talking about how he's done this anti-desertification stuff. So he's been planting trees for like 21 years or something, right?
He looks like he's been planting trees in the sun for 21 years. He does,
poor guy. Anyway, he's spazzing out because what happened was they moved a coal mine in his... You can just play it.
Is it a coal mine or is it a power plant?
It was a coal mine.
Coal mine.
Well, it was a coal power plant. Coal-powered power plant.
Okay.
But it's really messed up the water. And so the drinking water is completely tainted and polluted. And actually, over 70% of fresh water in China.
Let me take the volume down because he's very loud, screaming and shouting.
Volume there.
Yeah.
Over 70% of all fresh water in China is unusable.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about you can boil it. I'm talking about the 70%. The 30% left over is what you're boiling.
Yeah.
The 70% up until then is so ruined.
This might seem very strange, and it was strange for me when I moved to China, but you cannot drink the tap water. I know, like, for a lot of people, they're like, whatever, like, you still have a filter and all that, but you can't even do that. You can't put, like you get a Brita filter or whatever here in the States.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, oh, there's chlorine or whatever in the water. Don't drink it. What's turning the frogs gay or whatever.
Fluoride or whatever, yeah.
So what you do is you take your filter, or your fridge has a filter, and you replace it, and then you kind of drink it and you feel safe. Okay.
Or you just drink tap
water.
water.
Or you can drink tap water, or drink it from
like
the garden hose or whatever. Yeah, sure. But I'm saying, like, you might take it as far as...
You might take it as far as that, yeah.
In China, you can't.
No.
You must buy bottled water.
Yes.
Every household has those, like, water coolers like you see in an office, with a glug, 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 Like, wherever our water cooler diplomacy is. It's probably here somewhere. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. Is it this one?
Yes.
Yeah, one of those. Okay. Every household in China has one of those things or something similar. You get these little things where you just get that jug and you put it down and you can, like, squeeze the water out, those. Or you just buy bottled water. And it might not click with you guys, but that's a huge expense and hassle. That means you have to keep buying bottled water. Not only does that mean there's a lot more plastic pollution because of plastic bottles everywhere, but when you run out, you're screwed. You cannot drink the tap water. You literally have to go to the shop or order delivery for water.
I've been parched many days in China where I'm like, I'm out of water. Crap, everything's closed.
Yeah, it sucks. Yep. It's a terrible thing. And this is what Chinese people have to put up with across the entire country.
Yep.
Imagine that you cannot drink your tap water and you cannot even filter it to drink it. That is China.
Yes. Actually did a video on that, exposing China's water quality. It's the last video.
And even the bottled water that you found out still had crap in it,
it was
too.
Bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So this poor guy is losing his shit. And this was viral in China, and it's starting to bring up some questions, about, like, why are these coal power plants allowed to just come in and destroy things?
Yes. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's continue. We have way too much material, and we're going long.
Yeah.
Go long. You get the idea. We don't need to watch him forever. Poor guy.
Yeah,
he had his day in the sun.
Yeah, more than one day in the sun, bro.
That's the joke.
I know. But I mean, like,
I'm not laughing at him, by the way.
Of course not. No, it's his life's work's being ruined. You know, his entire existence is being ruined because these stupid coal power plants, and that's.
I mean, there's whole villages in China where the kids all have cancer, like nearby. It's bad. It's real bad.
What's good about this guy's viral video is questions are starting to be asked about this kind of thing because, you know, everyone just unquestioningly just listens to what the government has to say and, you know, lets them put in their power plants and do their shit. And they just whatever.
I just wanted to also, you know, if we're on the whole, like doing good for the Lao Baixing, like the average
ordinary person,
in China, I wanted to highlight some personal stories, not just his, but another guy. South China Morning Post randomly went to this village, right?
Okay.
And it was supposed to be one of these villages that is getting government aid, you know, poverty alleviation. You know,
like a model
Xi Jinping
village.
stood in front, well, kind of. Xi Jinping stood in front of everybody and said, poverty is gone in China, right? We've eradicated it. So we talked about this ad nauseum. Basically, what that meant was not that poverty was alleviated or is gone. Now it's just illegal to say that there's poverty in China.
Yeah.
And that's actually what has happened because... You think in a socialist paradise like China, you know, workers unite. Let's come together in this communist party of China, communist country, right? That you're going to have a good pension, you're going to have good access to farm agriculture, right? You're going to have your medical taken care of. You're going to get a decent wage from the government for retirement. None of these things are true.
No.
So we wanted to highlight another personal story here. I took a couple of highlights out here.
Okay, let's look.
我们这地是那是种保护不是我们的那多地啊，讲我们一个亲戚问题。亲戚们种小麦，他上去种小麦，我们秋季种点保护。
那你种这么多地，然后就一年能落多少钱？
那就是万把块钱嘛。
40块。
要是风调雨顺了还可以，搞个2万块钱。不风调雨顺就是万把块钱，落个万把。
So I think we just have to, for those of you who might be listening and not seeing this, it's a farmer just talking about how he farms, you know, and he farms in the summer to make corn, and his relatives, he rents in his relatives' farm in the winter wheat or whatever, and in a year he can make 10,000 yuan, which is 1,446 US dollars a year.
$1,400 a year.
And it's not him; it's his entire family. It's this entire farm of his, and everyone, all his dependents, have to live on this, right?
And so, on a good year, it's $2,800.
Yes.
For a year.
Yeah, on a great year.
Not a month, a year.
A year, yeah. Okay.
狗子。
一个月没有2000多块钱的药。
报完之后。
哪有报的呀？我们这买的药没得报的呀。
万把块钱，在他们娘俩的吃水果，掉干了。逢年过节走亲赶邻可都没得了。
So that's important as well, as he's saying that they don't have any medical insurance, nothing's paid for. So all the money they earn from the farm goes to medicine. They can't even go to the shops to buy like random stuff.
They don't, like, you can't visit relatives during the holidays.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's continue.
那有没有补助啊？
没得，啥没得。
No aid from the
不是
government.
说我们可怜死了可怜，地包没得地包，啥没啥。
你像我儿子那个劲儿，我咋不惆怅了？惆怅我解决啥办法了？这也是为啥不能解决了？我一家2个雷锋师，为啥不能解决了？2个人嘛，地包啥都占不上。我不是，哎呀，我不是说了，这你不知道，我找真理课，真理也搞不过。
Yeah, so he doesn't qualify. None of them qualify for like assistance from the government. And even though he went to speak to the government officials, they didn't agree with him.
On paper, all of these socialist principles exist in China, but they're rarely carried out.
Yeah, I mean, you can see. Yeah, they probably say, well, you've got a farm, shut up.
Yeah, or you've got a mianbao che.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, you've got an old mianbao che worth 500 RMB, so you're not allowed to get government assistance.
Exactly. So, this is kind of sad.
Yeah.
You know, Serbia.
Yes.
You know it better than I do.
The client state of China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a Chinese construction...
Not against Serbians, by the way. It's just your government has taken paths to make you a client state of the CCP.
Yeah. Chinese construction company is building a highway in Serbia.
Yeah.
And there just happened to be a very important war memorial that was in their way or nearby their construction site, so they destroyed it.
Yeah, they did.
Let's take a look.
Just ran it over.
Yeah, they just shattered it and like threw the bits on the ground, as you can see here. Not cool.
People are upset, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, there's no respect. It's supposed to be for the fallen World War I and II fighters. And only a few pieces of the statues remain, because they
wiped it out.
Yeah.
jer to je nešto neobjašnjivo. Ja nemam komentar adekvatan za ovakav čin. Ovdje sam rođen, odrastao, mislim ovo je greh. Ovo je greh prema predsima, prema ljudima koji su tu ostavili živote.
That's what it used to look like. So I mean, that was a local guy who's really upset because he grew up in the area, and this is like a sin against the ancestors.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. This is what it used to look like, and I'd like you to pay attention. There are plaques down there with the names of the people who lost their lives during the wars.
Gave their lives.
Yeah, exactly. The plaques were destroyed.
Not just the statues.
They weren't just like disassembled and put aside. They were destroyed.
Right.
The plaques with the people's names were just destroyed. I mean,
the last legacy of these people.
Yeah, I kind of get it. In China during Mao's era,
they don't give a shit.
With the Great Leap backwards and shit, they were like, anything that's old, just get it out of here.
I also get this because the Chinese government has zero respect for human life. Your name doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No. So they destroyed, in China, they destroyed all the old temples, they destroyed gravestones, they destroyed anything that had historical value in China was destroyed.
Yes.
Okay? That's why we have, China as it is today is, unfortunately, this incredibly rich history and culture was lost. All right? And they don't give a shit. So why would they give a shit about someone else's history?
If your country is doing massive infrastructure projects with China, then get ready for your own cultural revolution.
Exactly. That's where it used to be.
Yeah.
They
don't give a shit.
No, they really don't.
I ne mogu da verujem da je neko ovako srušio spomenik za ljude koji su dali život za...
Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. This is the construction company. It's called China Communications Construction. And they just destroyed it. Now, some of the local politicians are like, no, they were given permission to move it. Or they're trying to weasel their way out of it.
You get what you pay for, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job.
And they're saying, it'll be restored. Don't worry, it'll be better than new. Bullshit.
Serbian people, I think you need to address your current government.
Why destroy the plaques with the people's names on them?
I know.
Why destroy the statues?
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking from a logical point of view. Like,
having fun.
Exactly. If you're going to move a monument because it's in the way, you do it very carefully.
Yeah, of course.
You don't throw and break the statues on the ground and smash the plaques. And they're like, hey, where are those plaques? So, Mela Buyala and the Lao Dongshi Buyala,
Yeah.
It's pretty much what happened.
Yep.
It's sad to see that, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Was that a rip-off NATO logo on their construction company?
Probably.
It looks like it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. NATO powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
We also powerful.
Yeah.
We destroy plaques.
Yeah, we do. So I guess it's Q&A time.
Yeah.
So, Guy, Yamcha. Yamcha is... our favorite time of the show, really. This is where we answer your questions and you question our answers. I also get to loosen the tie. We get to relax. It's Friday after all. And we answer your super chat. So let's get right into it. By the way, you get to watch these live